Greetings to all. Welcome to VMware Administrator Training Session. Srinivas here. So before continuing today, second demo come live session, just general information about this particular batch. I welcome you all once again to batch number 355 VMware Administrator. And this course is designed to learn the topics on VMware infrastructure to deal about VMware vSphere Data Center Virtualization 7.0 ICM installation, configuration, and management. As part of this course, we are going to work from 6.5 version onwards. We are going to deploy each and everything on 6.5 and then proceed with upgradation to 6.7 and then upgrade to 7.0 and then we are going to work on 8.0 as well. So let's proceed with general information about this course. So this batch started yesterday, that is 30th September. So already live session uploaded to recorded session uploaded to YouTube, and the same recorded session is already shared on the WhatsApp community. This is day 2, that is demo session 2 and come live session. This batch starts every day at 6 a.m. IST for 1 hour and Monday to Friday, weekly 5 days, every day 1 hour. And the course fee is 11,800 in $142. So it is a nominal fees. Why I'm telling about nominal fees? As part of this training, we are going to provide live sessions, recorded sessions. You are in a position to uh, play the recorded session at any point of time for lifetime. And you can find the note files also along with that. You are going to get a lab access. Dell PowerEdge rack servers for your lab access. You are in a position to perform 2 physical servers. So training, lab access on 2 physical servers for 1 month. So including all, this nominal fee about 11,800 rupees. In USD, it is $142. So first 3 sessions are free to attend. This is the second session. One more session you are free to attend without making the payment and understand how the course is going on. From the 4th session onwards, a separate Zoom link will be shared with all registered participants. Who are all registered participants? Who are going to make the payment? They are registered participants, so they will receive a separate Zoom link to continue the live sessions. How do you find if you are not part of WhatsApp community, if you are not part of this particular batch, and you are going through YouTube or recorded session uploaded in social media? Here, simple way, log into Logic Labs, www.logiclabstech.com, wherein you can click on upcoming batches, or you can contact our support team. Contact us is there. You can contact whatever the information you are looking for. You can send a mail communication, or you can reach on this particular mail ID, support@logiclabstech.com, or these 2 numbers are available on WhatsApp. You can reach us to get a information about what are the batches. If you are not finding any information in upcoming batches or ongoing batches, you can contact support team at support@logiclabstech.com. And this upcoming batch information you can see here about this particular batch, batch number 355, VMware administrator, the trainer name, Srinivas, and when it is started, 30th September, what is the duration, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. IST, Monday to Friday. And it is very much important to be part of WhatsApp community. Just click on this WhatsApp community and you will find the link, and please join this respective batch WhatsApp community to get a regular updates. In the same link, you will find Zoom link. This Zoom link will be valid until tomorrow. Today is the second session, and you can register free to join the live session with this Zoom link. You can just click on Zoom link and register without making any payment. You are in a position to join this session. If you are part of WhatsApp community, you will get a regular updates about payment link and what is a YouTube recorded sessions link information. Everything will be shared on WhatsApp community. Once you are happy with this particular training module, you can click on payment. Just click on the payment link and you can find the batch information, what batch you are going to make the payment. Click on the buy course and proceed to complete the payment to continue uninterrupted sessions. Now, so once you complete the payment, there is no option of batch shifting and there is no option of amount refund. So please make sure you are paying for right batch and you are attending right course to enhance your skills. So all sessions, this live session, including this demo session, this is a demo session come live session. The first three live sessions are presenting as a demo session to understand how the training module is going on. Okay, so you are in part of live sessions about VMware administrator training. Now, all the sessions, this yesterday session and today's session will be uploaded to YouTube and the link will be shared with on WhatsApp community. Please share with your friends, whoever interested to learn virtualization technology. So along with only first two sessions will be uploaded to YouTube and those can be played without making any payment. But day one onwards until completion of the training, every day the live session is under record. So once the session is completed, the same recorded session will be uploaded to LMS Graphy portal. This LMS Graphy portal will provide an access to all registered participants to play the recorded sessions anytime, any number of times. Lifetime, this LMS Graphy portal will be accessible for all registered participants. So if you find any difficulties accessing the portal, making the payments, our Logic Lab support team is available Monday to Saturday between 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST. And you can send a mail at support@logiclabstech.com or you can reach on this provided contact numbers. Yeah, we are available on social media. You please register YouTube, subscribe to YouTube channel wherein you will find all emerging technology. Demo sessions will be uploaded. You can watch the demo session and you can coordinate with the support team if you want to be part of the live sessions. Yeah. Any questions until this? Any questions? Okay.
No, we are clear.
So we are moving to continue today's session.
Sure.
So recap, that is previous session, we discussed about what is the course overview, how the training procedure is going to continue. We just discussed here and clarify your queries. Today we are going to start with the actual session, that is virtualization. Today's topic, today's agenda is importance of virtualization, understanding the resources sharing concept, and what are the server models we are going to use for virtualization. And whatever the lab servers are available, that is, I'm telling you here as a lab server, that is a replica of live environment. Whatever the servers we are providing for your practice, those are sitting in a data center, Logic Labs Technologies data center, wherein you are going to connect physical servers remotely. The same way how you connect in a production environment, the same setup is configured to gain practice, to gain the knowledge on the live environment. The same live environment is providing here as a lab. You don't consider it as a lab, it is a live environment. Okay. So let's start. So yesterday I told you, right, we are going to connect a jump server. We are going to start practical and then wherever it is required, I'm going to switch over to some theory component. Hope you are able to see my screen and is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So as yesterday mentioned that lab access, first of all, we are going to connect remote desktop session, whatever the IP address, the details, what IP address you need to mention to connect this particular remote desktop session, whatever the server you are going to connect, that is configured with a public IP. So this server can be accessible from anywhere, any place. Only thing you need to have an internet connection. This public IP is not in a position to connect from office network. If you are working and if you are practicing from office network, the thing is you need to switch over to mobile hotspot. Okay. So from office network, if you are trying to connect, it may not connect. Some office networks are restricted. So you have to switch over to mobile hotspot and then connect. Only thing is that to connect this jump server, you need to have an internet connection. Once you have an internet connection, just mention the IP address, connect, and whatever the details we are going to share. This details, lab access details, the jump server login details, IP details, and how to access, all those details will be shared with the registered participants. Yeah. I'm connecting to the jump server to showcase the installation procedure on physical server. Okay. Good. Jump server is connected. From here, we are going to connect the servers which are hosted on Logic Labs Technologies data center. Let me connect. So here, I'm going to provide IP address. What is the IP address to connect our physical server? There are two physical servers for your practice. Understand from to perform the each and every step from the scratch. So here I'm going to connect one of the physical servers, that is Dell PowerEdge Rack server. We are going to access that physical server by using remote management card. What is this remote management card? So as I said, we are going to understand the components. What is a server? What is a component? Everything we are going to understand. We are sitting working on laptop. The laptop, you are able to power on, power off, and enter into the BIOS. But this physical server is located in Hyderabad data center. I am sitting in Bangalore. I am delivering the session. So sitting Bangalore, I'm connected to my Hyderabad data center by using jump server. From the jump server, accessing to this remote management. Why I need to access? A VMware administrator need to work on physical servers. Other administrator, it doesn't matter, they may work on cloud server, they may work on virtualization server, they may work on different kind of environments. But as a VMware, as a virtualization administrator, we are going to work on physical server. How to access, how to power on, how to enter into the BIOS, how to see the console, what is happening on the screen. To gain that kind of access, we need to connect remote management card. every physical server. What kind of physical servers are available? This is a PPT is available. We are going to upload this PPT for everyone's understanding. I'm going to talk about whenever it is possible. Sorry. This is a typical server model hardware are available in the market. The tower server, a normal box, just like desktop it look like. It is a tower server. And rack servers. What is a rack server and what is a blade server? What kind of server hardware are more useful for virtualization technology? Is it going to use a tower server? Is it going to use rack server? How the data center is going to look like? The data center will be there. Sorry, rack enclosure. You can see that images, just rack enclosures. This kind of enclosures will be there in data center. You can find this particular enclosures in each and every data center. In the same data center, in the same enclosure, it will be placed what kind of servers. Whatever the servers you are able to see here, this is a rack server. Why we are going to call it as a rack server? This particular rack server will be placed, this kind of rack server will be placed in that enclosure. 1U rack server, 2U rack server, 4U rack server, the density, the form factor it is going to say. These are all rack servers. And what is the purpose of tower server? Each server model, there is a use case. The tower servers and 4U rack servers, most of the time, it is going to be useful for storage servers. Why storage servers? They are having a multiple provision of base to insert number of hard disks. They are going to have a number of provision place to place number of hard disks. So this kind of servers most of the time uses for storage, backup, database servers, high-end database servers, wherein more storage is required. They are going to go with tower server or 4U rack server. Sometimes with a limited storage, if they are looking, they will go with a 2U rack server as well. Now, as we are going to understand this racks virtualization, what virtualization is look like? What is a virtualization servers capable? The virtualization, whatever the servers are useful for virtualization technology, that will be having a more compute resources. What is a compute resources? Compute resources in the sense, more number of CPU, more number of memory, wherever it is possible that particular server is suitable for virtualization. Most of the times, whenever you find any virtualization underlying hardware, that will be either 1U rack server or 2U rack server, if they are going to talk about rack servers. In VxRail, what is a VxRail? It is a VxRail hardware. It is related to a similar enclosure will be there. Comes with enclosure. It comes with enclosure. This kind of enclosure wherein 3 minimum rack servers will be placed in the small enclosure. That enclosure is going to come to the data center as a bundle package. Or else if it is already enclosure is already available in the data center, that servers will be delivered and will be inserted. That VxRail hardware is a rack kind of server. So you can check what kind of hardware it is, whatever the models it is. As a VMware administrator, just 1 second, please. Sorry for the trouble. Some technical issue. Hope I am audible.
Yes.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what kind of servers are more suitable for virtualization? Either one U rack server or two U rack server. Whatever the model you are using, we must understand according to the model, is it a rack server? Is it a blade server? And all those things we can understand. Whatever the server hardware we are going to use for virtualization, that is capable of compute resources. Compute in the sense it is going to have a more number of CPU and more number of memory. Okay, that is the first thing. After one U rack server, one U or two U rack server, the most popular hardware which is used for virtualization, that is blade architecture. If you can see that in this picture, that enclosure, this particular enclosure, one top biggest enclosure can accommodate, if it is a two U rack servers, we can place maybe 5 to 6 rack servers. 5 to 6 rack servers. If you come to the blade servers, how it is going to blade chassis, I'm going to showcase. This is the enterprise, very high-end enterprise hardware infrastructure for virtualization workloads. You can see that this every chassis, this is a blade chassis. Each blade chassis can accommodate 16 off-height blades. If you can see this particular picture, these blade servers are capable to handle more number of CPU and memory modules. These are the compute servers, compute physical servers. So you can imagine this kind of chassis, one chassis can accommodate 16, 16 off-white blade server. Each off-white blade server will insert, you can see this picture. It is going to insert just like hard drive plug and play. So the servers will be sit inside and then 16 blades can be accommodated, 16 half flight. If it is a full height, the full height blade server, half height blade server, the more CPU capacity, more memory capacity will be there on the respective hardware. If it is a full height, in the same chassis, 8 blades, 8 full height blades can be inserted. That means this kind of chassis will go and sit in the enclosure. In this biggest enclosure, 3 chassis can sit. You can imagine 3 chassis can sit in one enclosure. How many servers, how many physical servers can be placed one particular enclosure? What is advantage of rack server versus blade server? If you see this blade server, for a blade server, there is no cable. For every server, whatever the server you are going to talk about, rack server or tower server, if you talk about these models, if you talk about these models, each server requires a 2 power cables for redundant. What is a redundant? Can anyone having an idea? What is redundant?
Active standby. If active will fail, then standby will take.
Yes, we are going to use redundant and we are going to talk about high availability. The redundant is nothing but it is going to work physical layer. One is device failed, second device is going to come into picture. For every server hardware, there will be a redundant power supply. That means each server requires a 2 or 4 power cables will be there to provide uninterrupted power supply. And that means each server minimum 2 power cables and each server requires a networking connection. As we talk about server hardware, minimum to minimum 2 network ports will be there. Generally, in virtualization,
Sorry,
Yes, please.
Sorry, Srinivas, to interrupt you. I wanted to know that in one blade, what are the hardware component it has? One blade. Is it only a storage it consists, or some CPU and some other hardware component also consist in that blade?
Yeah, I'm going to come to that point.
Okay.
First of all, the rack server, what are the components? A system is nothing but a one particular system, what we can say, a physical server, a physical laptop. What is going to have? It is going to have a motherboard, processor, memory, storage, networking. With these five components, we can say that a system, right? Now in this server, power supply and motherboard and CPU, memory, storage, networking. Networking, how many cables, how many power cables, storage, how many storage, SAN connection, network NAS connection, whatever the connection it may be, each server is going to have minimum to minimum 6 to 8 or 10 cables will connect to each and every server up. Whereas comes to the blade server, you can imagine whatever the blade servers are available in this enclosure. What is the advantage? What is the importance of the blade server? Here, this blade server doesn't have any power cables, network cables, nothing. For all these servers, for all these servers, power supply, networking connection, storage connection, everything comes from this chassis. This outer line chassis is there, right? This outer line chassis will be having a power connections. For all these servers, whatever the power requirement, whatever the storage requirement, whatever the network requirement, everything will be connected to only one chassis. This blade enclosure doesn't have any cables. It is just a connectivity type. That connector backside mezzanine card we can call it as. We are not going to go in-depth knowledge about blade architecture. It is going to have the server system. Any physical server is going to have CPU, memory, storage, networking, and all these four components will be connected on the motherboard. How this networking, how the storage, how the power is going to come to this blade server, that is the architectural design of this blade enclosure. You can see this. That is why this enterprise industries, whenever you go for any enterprise industry, you will find the servers, virtualization servers runs on blade servers. You may think that VxRAL, is it a blade or rack server? How can we find? Now we have a server, Dell PowerEdge. Dell PowerEdge, what is the model? We are able to see here in lab, in our live environment. You can see that Dell PowerEdge R820. Whatever the model information, you need to type that model information. You will get a complete information about model architecture. By looking at this image, you can see these images. Whatever the image you are able to see, by looking at that image itself, you can understand, is it a rack server or is it a blade server? We never ever use tower model in virtualization. Okay, so how to find, is it a rack server or is it a blade server? Rack server will be having a all sort of connections and you will find a notch both sides. Why these notches are available on both sides? This notch will be sit in rack enclosure. You can see that both sides and there is a notch is there. It will sit in respect to rack enclosure. What is a rack enclosure? What is a blade chassis? What is a blade architecture? How they are going to look like? For a VMware administrator, it is mandatory to understand basic thing. We are not going to visit data center, but we need to have a basic knowledge how the physical. We are the admin, we are the people, we are the technical persons going to work on physical servers. How we are going to provide virtualization, what is the advantages we are going to see. First, we are understanding what is a physical server. Every physical enterprise physical server, it may be tower, it may be rack, it may be blade server. Whatever the server model it may be, every server will be configured on data center. But how to connect, how to access? I would like to power on, I would like to do some configuration issues. How do we connect? That's where the remote management card is going to come into picture. What is a remote management card? A remote management card is nothing but it is just like a physical component, just like network card. We are going to see just like network card. Network card is going to have what is the port you are looking at? What is this port you are looking at? This is a network card. What is this port we call it as? What cable we are going to use to connect this to
Ethernet.
Ethernet or
it,
NIC.
NIC card, network interface card, Ethernet card, and this port is called as a RJ45 port. Yeah. This remote management card is a inbuilt network card on each and every enterprise hardware that is can be configured and can be accessible from outside. That is where we are connecting. What is the remote management card? I'm connecting. Why am I coming all together in this manner? To explain what is a remote management card. Okay. For IBM, the same remote management card, we are going to say that integrated IMM, integrated management module. If you are working on HP server, it is integrated lights out management, ILO. For HP, ILO. For Dell, it is a ID rack, integrated Dell remote access controller. So you are attending interview and they may ask about how do you perform installation from the scratch. If you are not going to talk about remote management card, you are gone. This kind of practical knowledge nowadays no one is going to provide. We are at Logic Labs providing from the scratch and able to explain each and every component which is necessary to understand to perform day-to-day operations. If you are not going to understand physical server architecture, how you are going to troubleshoot? How do you connect console? Okay, so here this remote management card is a basic net terminology. The same remote management card based on the hardware model, the name is going to change. For IBM, it is IMM. Dell, it is ID rack. In our lab now, this Dell PowerEdge. Yes, please. You can ask Blade Server. You are not. Yes, Syed. There is a message. Yes. What is the doubt on Blade Server?
Yes, sir. Actually, this is Abdullah here.
Abdullah.
So I have a doubt regarding blade server. Like, are these blade servers configured independently, or like as a whole blade, in the blade chassis and blade enclosure? So, like, if you have 10 blade servers or 5 blade servers in a blade chassis, so is it configured independently? Like, if someone is using a virtual machine out of that blade server, and keeping it as a storage, or you know uh,
Okay,
having
very
a
good.
part of that configuration. So is it configured as independently or separately? And also, in case of disaster recovery, do we have any redundant blade server for, in case of data recovery and so on? Just want
Okay.
to get an idea,
Yes, exactly. So as I stated, for example, you can understand logical scenario. Okay, coming to the enclosure. Okay, a rack server. A rack server will be having a power cables, networking cables, each and everything. If you have a 5 or 6 or 10 rack servers, you need to place you need a enclosure to place in a systematic manner, right? If you have only one rack server, that can be placed on any desktop, on any table, and you can connect and work on it, right? Whereas in blade server, as the architecture itself, you can see that this, if you have only one blade, because even though you have one blade or 10 blades, a chassis is a must. Without chassis, you are not in a position to work on this individual blade. When comes to configuration, when comes to the configuration, installation or use case, whatever the purpose you are going to use, even though it is going to place in this chassis, okay, you are in a position to perform installation, configuration, everything per server basis. Okay, how much memory module, if something wrong in this particular blade server, you need to take out of this blade from this chassis and you need to work on. Okay, and if you want to install configuration OS installation, it may be Windows, it may be Linux, it may be DB server, whatever the virtualization OS, you are going to install according to organization requirement on each server. It may be blade, it may be rack, it may be tower. Okay. Coming to the next point, that disaster recovery. In an enterprise environment, for example, a small business model is there, wherein they need only 3 or 4 servers is enough for their entire organization. Going for blade architecture is meaningless. Where this blade architecture is very useful, very high-end enterprise architecture, wherein 1,000 physical servers or 500 physical servers. If you can imagine, each physical server can accommodate minimum to minimum 10 servers to 50 servers. If you are going to work on VDA, virtualization desktop deployment, each physical server can support until 50 to 100 desktops. According to organization size, either you are going to work on servers deployment or going to work on desktop deployments, it is going to design how many physical servers are required. Okay, for example, VxRail. It is a simplest mode of software-defined data center, wherein some organization requires 3 clusters, some organization requires 2 clusters. Each cluster minimum configuration is 3 node. It can vary. We can increase the node size also. But VxRail is a crack server model, and it is going to have an enclosure. That enclosure configured with a minimum 3 nodes, 4 nodes, 5 nodes according to the organization requirement. When it comes to the blade server, the blade server must be having a minimum to minimum high-end configuration. If that there is no hundreds of physical servers, no one goes for blade architecture, because if the chassis is down, this particular chassis is there, right? A blade chassis, we say this. This blade chassis is having a technical issue. The 16 servers, if you are inserting 16 off-white blades, all 16 off-white blades are going to get impacted. Okay. This blade architecture is having a capability swapping the operating system online. For example, there are 16 servers are there. One server is having some problem, some maintenance. You need to change the memory, you need to change the processor or network interface, whatever the component you planning to change, it is capable enough to swap the operating system. Whatever the configuration you have done, everything will be profile can be swapped from one hardware to another hardware. That capability is only available in blade chassis. Cisco UCS, HP Blade Administrator, IBM Blade Administrator. This every chassis has an excellent technology features, everything can be swapped. When it comes to disaster recovery, no one is going to configure disaster recovery in the same data center. Definitely, they'll configure disaster DR setup in a different data center, at least, if not different data center, at least some other location. No one is going to configure DR setup in the same data center. Hope you understand the concept.
Is it used for storage? Shinosh?
Storage blade architecture is not suitable for storage, but where it is possible. As I said, VxRail technology. VxRail is a combination of storage, network, and hardware and virtualization together. Now, this blade architecture having a more capability of CPU and memory. Nowadays, storage is coming with the SSD, NVMe technology. So these are capable to have the SSD, NVMe flash disk can be inserted in the blade servers. If you are able to insert that capabilities requirement for vSAN, Nutanix, all those are going to work on storage, software-defined data center. Whatever the VxRail, that is rack servers, the same concepts can be configured on this particular blade servers as well. This blade servers, each blade server, according to configuration, each blade server can come with minimum. Nowadays, storage is coming with a small chips that is 12 TB, 20 TB like that. So if you combine three blade servers as a one cluster, then you are going to get a 60 TB of storage pool from these three nodes. You can configure that VCF on by three blade servers. Storage server, storage functionality, it is altogether separate, different functionality. For entire organization storage functionality, it is completely different. Here, what is the storage functionality we are talking about? vSAN. In VMware, it is called vSAN, Virtualized Storage Area Network. The local storage can be used as a storage pool. Whatever the storage principles are going to be possible to configure on a storage server, the same policies, not exact policies, similar policies can be configured on vSAN. Okay,
Okay.
any doubts?
That's fine for now.
Yes, please.
Yeah, as a VMware admin, we are responsible for network and storage, so everything. If we have a network team, if we have a storage team,
Mm-hmm.
uh, even though we are responsible for all things like a storage. If you have any issue with storage, we are responsible for that. And if you have any network issue, we are responsible as a VMware administrator.
It is not for all in an enterprise environment based on the size of the enterprise environment. Uh, if you are working on VxRail, for example, VxRail is a combination of all things together in a single box, single product. In that product, you are going to work on whatever the components comes under NSX. You need to have to manage. If you want to manage the storage within that VxRail, that is vSAN, the storage pool will be there within the VMware product. So you need to manage that VM. For example, if a storage is coming from a SAN storage server or NAS storage server, there are separate storage administrators will be there to provide storage and all those things, how they are going to provide storage. We are going to discuss what is the storage options available in NAS, SAN, and vSAN, where the VMware administrator is going to step in. We are going to understand. Okay. Networking, coming to the networking, a network administrator will be there to take care of entire organization network infrastructure, physical switches, routers, and all those things. As a VMware administrator, whatever the network configuration, whatever the network configuration, we have to configure, we are going to configure virtual switches. We are going to configure distributed switches. That basic networking understanding is very much required to work on VMware administrator. I'm going to talk about, as part of this training module, we are going to talk about how the network infrastructure is going to come into picture to manage VMware infrastructure. I'm going to provide basic information about networks. What are the things we need to have a basic knowledge to cope up with networking infrastructure design. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So why I discussed all this server, physical server, remote management card? Because we are going to connect this. What is this? Why we are connecting? I am going to manage a physical server which is hosted on remote location, that is Hyderabad data center. I am sitting in Bangalore and connecting to the physical server. Without this physical remote management card access, how it is going to configure? This remote management card is just like a network card, and it has a BIOS program, and it is capable enough to perform power off, power on, whatever the action. And it has to be configured an IP address. Who is going to configure? I am sitting remotely. I am not in a position to configure the IP address. The data center operation guy will be there. Who is going to place the server in the rack enclosure or the blade chassis? They are going to configure initial configuration, IP address, connecting the networking cable, and all those things will be performed by data center operation guy. Sometimes we need to guide them how to connect, how to where to insert the cable. To guide, to provide instruction to them, we need to have a knowledge on how the physical server architecture, where the connector, where the RJ45 port will be there. Everything manual we need to refer, and we need to guide that instruction data center operation guy to connect. The data center operation guy is going to assign IP address to this particular remote management card and is going to configure username and password also. It is simple instructions will be there for every hardware. How do we configure remote management card? Okay. So once that configuration done, that details will be shared to VMware administrator. Without having this particular IP and login details, I am not in a position to connect physical server. Whenever there is an interview question comes in picture, I would like to perform, I'm giving a task to you from scratch for installation. What are the details you are look for? Okay, you have to look for the remote management card. You should not say remote management card. For example, the interview question is going to come into picture. What kind of hardware you are managing? If you say that my environment has a HP servers, what is a HP remote management card?
ILO.
Yes. You have to say if that you have to listen carefully. My environment is configured with HP servers. What are the details you look for to start from the scratch? Now you need to ask what ILO details I would like to have to start my configuration initialization. How it is going to connect? Is there any jump server? Is there any VPN setup to access that ILO? If you say that, if you guy says that HP server and you are talking about a remote management card, that is not right answer. If he says that HP and you are talking about a ID rack, gone case. You doesn't have any idea about what physical servers you are managing. Okay, that's very much important. As a VMware administrator, we must manage physical servers. The VMware virtualization is going to install on physical servers only. We are not going to use VMware virtualization or any kind of virtualization, Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V, or any kind of virtualization is not going to install on virtual servers. It is going to install only on physical server. Why we are using virtualization? What is the importance of virtualization? Virtualization is nothing but optimizing the resources. What is the importance of virtualization? Why virtualization is required? I'm using my desktop. You can see the performance. How much percentage CPU, how much memory. I'm purchasing a brand new hardware for with by spending of 5 lakh or 10 lakh rupee. And I'm going to install only web server or DB server. The utilization of the cost, whatever the cost I spent for my organization, I'm not utilizing the resources properly. For 10 lakhs investment, I'm not utilizing the resources. I can use only web server in the sense out of entire hardware resources, CPU, I may not use not even 1%. Memory not even 5%. So what is happening here? Wasting of the resources. That's where the virtualization came into picture. Effective utilization of resources. How? The same resources. However, here applications are able to share the resources. Whatever the applications, you can see that number of applications, Google Chrome, Notepad, each and every resource is giving a resource sharing. Some portion of CPU, who is going to manage? My Windows 10 operating system is coordinating with the hardware and giving the resources to each and every application. In virtualization technology, by using the physical layer, we are going to install virtualization operating system. That virtualization operating system is giving the resources to each virtual machine. By using the virtualization layer, we are going to create virtual servers. How many virtual servers? How much configuration we can do? It is all depends upon whatever the underneath configuration is available. Those number of virtual servers we can create. Okay. Why the virtualization? Effective utilization of resources. Not only that, data center footprint. If I want to use 100 servers, physical servers, you can imagine how much AC, how much footprint, how many enclosures required to maintain 100 servers. If by using the virtualization, thus 100 servers can consolidate, that 100 servers can consolidate with the 10 servers or 15 servers. By doing this, what I'm going to achieve? Reducing the cost of each and every server, saving the footprint, saving the power, saving the AC, many more environmental benefits. Not only that, important thing, if something goes wrong with the physical server to replace a memory module, some issue with the CPU, I need to upgrade the CPU, I need to upgrade the memory. How much time it is going to take to manage to modify the hardware configuration? It may take, we need to place the order, we need to get the order, and it may take days together. Whereas in virtual server, whatever the configuration you are looking for, within fraction of minutes, I can do modification. Not only that, if physical server downs due to some reason, to bring back the server, it takes time, maybe hours to days together. Whereas in virtual server, with the snapshot, with the whatever the technologies are available, within fraction of minutes, I can bring back the server as quickly as possible. That is the virtualization advantages. Now, hope you understand what is the importance of virtualization, the hardware, OS, and application users. Why we are going to talk about here. This is important to understand how the application, hardware layer, how the operating system sharing the resources to applications. The same applications here, Google Chrome is there, Microsoft PowerPoint is there. These are the applications getting resources, some portion of CPU, some portion of memory. From where? The Microsoft Windows desktop operating system is coordinating with the hardware and assigning resources. Now, all these apps, whatever the apps you are looking here, all these apps I'm going to replace with virtual machines. What is a mission? A mission is nothing but it is going to have CPU, memory, storage, network, motherboard. How I'm going to provide these components? That's where the virtualization operating system plays a vital role. The kernel, how you are going to create. It is a software program. The program it is going to create a imagination. Okay, so that is a virtual machine we are going to create. This is a resource conscious concept we are going to understand. Okay, now we are at this console of this particular Dell physical server. Now what I need to do? Now I need to start my scratch from installation. What are the pre-configuration requirements? What are the pre-configuration? First, I need to go to BIOS. How do I go BIOS? In this particular server, I am going to click on the virtual console review. I'm going to click on launch console. As soon as I click on launch console, I'm going to get what is happening on the screen. I'm able to see sitting remotely. This is a console screen of physical server. Current it is having something. I would like to enter into the BIOS. How do I do power off, power on, enter into the BIOS? By simpling in this particular console, you will be having a console actions, or you can see here in this particular action itself, you can power cycle here, cold reboot, power on, power off. I'm going to do here, power cycle, the server is restarted. It is going to power cycle, the server is going to restart, the console is coming here, and I'm able to enter BIOS or RAID configuration. What are the pre-configuration we need to perform? Everything can be performed on this console. Let's see that. This is a
So in
console.
the
Yes, please.
in the case of virtualizations, when we put virtual machine in this server, so while it's rebooting it, will it show some notification or alarm that this rebooting will affect all the VMs
Okay, very
hosted
good
in
point.
that server?
Yeah, why virtualization? We are going to talk about HA and DRS, how the HA function is going to perform, what is going to happen the virtual machines. Because on the same physical server, we are going to deploy 10 to 50 virtual machines. If something goes wrong with this physical server, all my virtual systems are going to get impacted, right? So how to make less impact? That's where the cluster configuration is going to come into picture. That is where we are going to talk about HA configuration, DRS configuration. Whenever there is an unexpected hardware failure, HA is going to come into picture, and it is going to make sure if any uneven event happens, automatically all virtual machines will be migrated to another cluster, another ESXi host within a cluster to minimize the impact of the virtual machines. Okay, we are going to do all those things. Okay, we are configuring just a ESXi host now. Now, this physical server, hope it is clear, your doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So we connected to console and the post screen is going on. In this post screen, we are going to see that what is the server model, and I'm going to press F2. I just press F2 here to enter into the BIOS configuration of this particular setup. And you can post screen what are the details, what is a RAID controller, what is a network controller, all those details are going to come into picture. We are going to enter into the BIOS screen. What are the BIOS setup we need to check to proceed with ESXi host installation. And once BIOS configuration is done, then we are going to configure the storage. What is a RAID controller? what is the RAID configuration we need to do. All those things we are going to perform in tomorrow's session. Let's have a look BIOS setup. I'm going to conclude this configuration. System BIOS. What are the important things in BIOS configuration? Here, for virtualization, we need to make sure that server, by default, whatever the server we are going to purchase for virtualization, by default, the configuration will be pre-configured. As a VMware administrator, it is our responsibility to cross-verify before proceeding with the installation. Processor settings. In this processor settings, there is an hyper-threading will be there. What is hyper-threading? It is one of the CPU feature. It is going to double the CPU capacity. Because we are working on virtualization, it requires a more number of CPU. Okay. What is a CPU? Quad core processor, octa core processor. We are going to call it as octa core, quad core on your mobile. What is octa core? What is quad core? One physical chip is going to act as a 4 logical processors. At a given point of second, it can execute 4 instructions in a quad core processor. In octa-core processor, at a given point of second, it is going to execute 8 instructions. Now, in the server architecture, hyper-threading one is the important feature. It must be enabled for virtualization workloads. What this hyper-threading? Whatever the octa-core, 8 logical processor, 8 instruction is going to execute, it can perform in a given time. In this configuration, hyper-threading, once you enable, the same 8 instructions can perform multiple double. 16 instructions can be performed. Doubles the capacity. This is the important configuration. Every virtualization hardware must be enabled. Why? We need a more capability, more capacity, more performance for our workloads. So this is a one thing. Second thing, virtualization technology must be enabled. Without this virtualization technology, as soon as you click on this, you are in a position to see that virtualization technology, it is enabled by default. If it is disabled, you are not in a position to install virtualization operating system. Okay, it is must be enabled. Once these two settings are done, come back and you need to verify system profile settings. What is this system profile settings? It is a whenever you use laptop, you will find balanced power, save power, that kind of options will be there. In the server architecture also, balanced power, custom profile, custom use case, and all those things. This should be configured with a max performance. This configuration must be max performance. If you select here, there are different profiles will be there, balanced and all those things. It should be high performance. It should be configured with high performance. In each and every factor, we need to make sure whatever the physical server we are going to use for virtualization, it should be configured to gain max performance. So this is the third important configuration which we need to do. Everyone, once you gain the access to this lab, this live environment, everyone going to work on this particular setup and cross-verify and proceed with next step. This is a BIOS configuration. Tomorrow, we are going to see that RAID configuration, Once RAID configuration is done, we'll proceed with ESXi host installation. Any doubts here?
Sir, this is Raghu.
Hi, Raghu.
Sir, in this class, you have to tell about we network configuration also, sir. We virtual network configuration also, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Other than like that, two virtual switches are configuration by fault tolerance like that, na?
Networking configuration,
Uh,
understanding OSI model, what is the subnetting, why is subnetting, VLAN information, VLAN tagging, what is a VLANs, what is a port group, why we need to create a port groups, where do we create port group, different virtual switches, distributed switch, what is a function of virtual switch, what is how to create, how do we create port groups, how do we maintain the communication, redundant communication, everything is going to come into picture. You are going to do on this lab.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Again, one more doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the configuration of VXI host, sir. For installation of VXI host.
Mm-hmm.
If suppose in our environment we have four four VXI hosts.
Mm-hmm.
In each host we have some separate operating systems and separating servers are there.
Yeah.
Once one cluster is down, all remaining whatever OS are there in existing hosts replicated to other servers, sir.
Not replicated here. The technology it is going to use HA and DRS. Whatever the virtual machine, the Linux and DB server or OS, whatever the OS, whatever the application is running on a virtual machine. That virtual machines, if something goes wrong within a cluster on any one ESXi host, for example, there is a 3-node cluster is there.
Okay.
In the 3-node cluster, one host is down due to some technical issue. That host currently running have hosting nearly 10 servers, different application, different DB servers together. Those 10 systems, this HA technology, we need to configure on the cluster, that HA configuration.
HA means
Once configured HA, automatically whatever the servers running on that particular host, everything will be migrated to another ESXi host within the cluster and bring back online. This entire action is going to perform automatically. Okay.
okay, sir.
So I'm not going to exit now here. I'm going to leave this session here. Tomorrow, as soon as we connect, we are going to continue from this here and go with RAID configuration. Once RAID configuration is done, we are going to start with ESXi host installation. Okay. So any doubts before closing for today's session?
Yeah, I'm okay, Srinivas. My end, I'm okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for all your participation. Just before closing, just one final reminder. Please go to this payment link, and if you're interested to continue, please complete the payment by going to the respective link, and even WhatsApp community admin team keep on sharing payment link information. Please complete the payment. If you find any difficulties, please coordinate with the support team to clarify your queries. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great day.
Sorry, I have one question.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupt. In the end of the session, you provide interview questions and sample items like how to attend the interview. It's possible to
What
share.
is it?
In the end of the session, can you share interview questions, how to attend the interviews, how to manage?
See, today we already
Uh,
discussed, right, how the interview is going to ask, what you need to provide, how
Okay.
to understand. If you practice and understand the concepts, every session, I'm going to talk about how the interview is going to come, how the logical thinking is going to come into picture, how do we respond. You can frame it in this manner, okay? At the
Yeah.
end of the session, there is an exam dump will be there. And if you go to internet and search for VMware day-to-day activities interview questions, you will get a number of questions. You go through that, whatever the doubt you might be having. If you are not able to understand throughout the session, you can simply send a mail by mentioning subject as a batch number. I'm not able to understand this concept. Please explain. I'm in a position to respond. If you have a doubt during the session, you can ask me. I'm in a position to explain. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a great day. Bye.